round is called This Is My, where we bring on a mystery guest who has a close connection to one of our panellists. Now, this week, each of Lee's team will claim it's them that has the genuine connection to the guest. It's up to David's team to spot who's telling the truth. So please welcome this week's special guest, Roger. So, Alice, what is Roger to you?
This is Roger. He painted my living room the wrong colour twice.
So Alice is hapless handyman. Les, how do you know Roger?
This is Roger, and he once gave me a lift to Family Fortunes on the top of his bouncy castle.
So, Les's bouncy buddy. And Lee, what is your relationship with Roger?
This is Roger. I once made him spend 20 minutes that he didn't have looking for a dog that didn't exist.
David's team, where would you like to begin?
So, Alice.
Yes.
He painted your living room the wrong colour twice. So what was the first colour?
The first colour was, I believe, called Railings. It's a kind of navy blue from a very posh paint brand.
And what was the colour that you wanted?
I wanted a dusty kind of plaster pink.
What? So that is quite different.
It's quite different, yeah.
And the second go?
I got a pink that wasn't a dusty plaster pink.
You like a bit of pink, don't you?
I love a bit of pink, yeah.
And then what happened?
You're wearing pink. He's not being creepy. That's right.
Don't we have a Lancastrian accent? Everything sounds a bit wrong, doesn't it? You love a bit of pink, don't you?
Yeah. To be fair to Roger, the first time it was your fault, but the second time it was my fault.
How are you painting pink over very, very dark blue?
I'm glad you asked that. I don't know, but thank goodness you can't see it through anymore, because I would have been livid.
That's a great response. Well, I'm glad you asked that, because I don't know.
I'm so glad you've given me the opportunity to tell you I have no idea. It is much harder to paint light over dark.
Well, this was the thing, and that's why I was so... I mean, I was pretty livid.
What colour were you?
I was... yeah, it was sort of a kind of rosé. And then I feel like I kind of kept a lid on it, but only because Roger said he'd sort it out and was very apologetic.
You should have taken the lid off. You'd have seen what he was painting.
If it turns out that he is a painter and decorator, I'm just glad that he's turned up. I'd also like to say it's the longest I've ever heard a painter and decorator not talking.
This is very interesting, Lee, that you're speculating so much about the profession of the person who you know to have been someone you spoke to about a dog.
Now, Alice,
yes.
You were wanting a pink. How was there miscommunication where you're asking for a pink and he gives you railings?
Sure. When he came round to do the quote, he came... I've got very high ceilings, don't want to show off, so he did his quote, quite expensive, because, you know, period property. And so worked it out, wrote it in his little book. Then I went away, then he did his stuff. So that's how I think it was just next to another customer's decision.
Right. So you first called him out on it when you saw the railings up on the wall?
Yeah, so that's when he was very apologetic and said, I'll sort it as soon as I can.
So what went wrong the second time?
So the second time, I sent a link to the new colour,
yes.
but I sent a link to a colour that I'd been considering.
Yes.
When you're swatching it and everything.
Yes.
So that's when it's
so
my fault.
That was your error.
So that was my error.
So did you have to pay for the second one?
Well, now I just live with that colour.
Oh, you just left it up?
Well, because we've been doing this for about 3 years now, haven't we? It's taken forever.
You've got really high ceilings.
Yeah.
All right, who would you like to quiz next?
So, Les, the lift on the bouncy castle, how did that come about?
Roger worked on Family Fortunes. You know, people always say to me, where do you get those families? Well, Roger was one of the guys that used to get the families.
You make it sound like he went round shopping centres with a net.
He auditioned them.
Right.
So, on this morning, we're staying in the hotel that's near the studios in Nottingham, and I'm worried because the cab hasn't arrived to take us to the studio, because I like to get there early for the production meeting.
On Family Fortunes? Family
Fortunes, this is, yeah.
OK. Is there a lot of preparation?
Rob, you're saying it like you host a show about the Hadron Collider. This is easier than Family Fortunes.
Yeah.
A lot easier.
Really?
I mean, I would describe this as any idiot could do it.
I think I've proven that. So, you've got to get to work.
Yeah, I've got to get to the studios,
Yes.
and the cab hasn't arrived. So Roger said, I'll tell you what, we'll go in the van.
Look at his face.
He was working on the show.
Yes.
But in his spare time, he used to provide coconut shies and... coconut shies and skittle alleys and also bouncy castles for fetes and for kids' parties.
So you're late for Family Fortunes. Yeah. Les is the man who finds the families, but he also has a bouncy castle company.
I'm Les, that's Roger.
Roger.
As I was saying, any idiot could host this show. Any idiot.
I'm proving it's not as easy as it looks.
Do you know what? If only you'd have got here earlier and learned the names.
And he stays at the same hotel?
He's at the hotel, and so are two of the writers and the warm-up man. We're all there.
With his van, with his bouncy castles?
With his van, with his bouncy castles.
OK.
And we all get in the van. The warm-up man, Bobby, and I sat in the back, and Bobby just sat on the skittle alley. And I thought, well, the bouncy castle looks like the most comfortable place, so I sat on the bouncy castle.
Can I just ask, did you take your shoes and socks off?
It wasn't fully up, it was deflated. So we get in the van, and when we get to the studio, the security man doesn't come out first, so Roger gets his bugle out. And goes...
Why has he got a bugle?
Well, Roger is a musician as well as having this leisure cabin. So he plays the bugle, and the security guy comes out and says, "What have you got?" And Roger says, "I've got two comedy writers and a warm-up man and a game show host in the back." And I actually said, "If it's up there, I'll give you the money myself."
Oh, come on!
All right. Now, what about Lee?
Yes, so
remind us, Lee,
us.
what is it you're claiming?
I once made Roger spend 20 minutes that he didn't have looking for a dog that didn't exist.
What was he late for?
For work.
And what does he do?
work as?
Bouncy castles. We've already been through that.
He's got another job as well as the bugles, the bouncy castles, and the taxi service to Family Fortunes.
And the painting.
And the musician.
He's absolutely recession-proof, isn't he?
He also works at a lockkeeper's cottage.
A lockkeeper's cottage.
He's a lockkeeper.
Now, what about this little dog?
Yes.
What little dog?
The little...
Oh, the dog, yes. I was having a walk, as is my right. I mean, who's going to stop me?
It's an open prison.
Yeah.
You do what you want.
So now I'm having a walk in my local park, and I was caught short. So I popped into an enclosed area of trees and bushes.
Yeah.
And I did what I needed to do.
Number 2?
I can't remember which tree it was. I saw a little dog appear. Now, I thought to myself, I know what happens here. Somebody's going to come in after that dog. And sure enough, a man started coming in after the dog. So the dog's now looking at me weeing against the tree, quite shocked to look, as if to say,
what?
How are you doing that? With both feet on the ground. I can see Roger coming in. But, I quickly zip up.
While you're weeing?
No, I was able to stop my wee because
you're stopping
there are
mid-wee.
people that can stop mid-flow. Some people can do it. I have that kind of control.
I can do it, but I don't like to.
Luckily, I was coming to the tail end, so I zipped up quickly, and he's now come in, and he sees me as I'm sort of appearing from around the tree. So what do? I panic, and I shout, "Sheba! Sheba!" And I start pretending I'm looking for a dog.
I see.
So you then wasted 20 minutes of Roger's time, as we know. But listen, we can all stop mid-flow. Yeah. It's fine. For 20 minutes...
Who said I stopped for 20 minutes?
Continue.
What now? He said, well, I'll help you look. And he goes off and looks in another area with trees and stuff to see if the dog's over there. I take the opportunity to finish the wee. I'm not going to lie. His dog stays there looking at me as if to go, you liar. After 20 minutes of him seeing me getting upset, but I wasn't upset, I was acting, I eventually had a plan. Because I thought, I can't go from Sheba! Sheba! to... I said, I'm going to get going. Very hard to make that join, isn't it?
I'm going to get another dog.
You know what I mean? So eventually, when he was far enough away, I went, Sheba, is that my phone? Hello? No way! She hasn't. Has she?
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
Her body had been found by the police.
She'd found her way home.
All right. We need an answer. So, David's team. Is Roger Alice's hapless handyman, Les's bouncy buddy, or Lee's dog detective?
I think Lee.
You think Lee?
No, I'm kidding. Was it inflated, the bouncy castle, Les?
No, I said that before. It kind of deflated, but it was still quite comfortable.
You see, that I don't
pack it
believe.
away. You would
I think
pack
it's
it away.
either deflated fully,
Yeah.
or it's fully... I don't think it'll be in a sort of mid-state shoved in the van next to the coconut shy.
And also, when they were talking about painting and decorating, Roger looked very cross.
He did look...
And he does look like he has his cup of tea, milk, 3 sugars. And that's classic builder stuff.
I think he didn't take kindly to that stereotype. We think Alice, don't we? I think we're going to go with Alice.
You think it's Alice? Roger, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Roger, and I took Les to Family Fortunes, where he would sit on the bouncy castle.
Yes, Roger is Les's bouncy buddy. Thank you very much, Roger. So please welcome this week's special guest, Neil. So, Laura, what is Neil to you?
This is Neil, and he's the health and safety officer who I mistakenly pushed in the pool at the Love Island wrap party.
Right, Laura's wet workmate. Chris, how do you know Neil?
This is Neil, and I was once forced to stay at his house because I'd handed my own keys in to a lost property office.
Chris's sleepover saviour. And finally, David, tell us about your relationship with Neil.
David, look at him. You have never met that man in your life.
On the contrary, this is Neil, and I once sat on his shoulders to get a better look at a fat chaffinch.
So, there we have it. Lee, where do you want to start?
Laura,
Yes,
when was this?
back in February, Cape Town.
Why is there a health and safety guy, particularly on Love Island? Was he giving out condoms?
Believe me, you need health and safety on Love Island.
OK.
But I actually had never met Neil before. I thought he was someone else.
Who did you think he was?
I thought he was Cliff.
Who's Cliff?
Cliff was my driver.
Oh, you deliberately pushed Cliff?
Yeah.
But it's not Cliff,
No.
it's Neil.
Yeah, well, Cliff is a big guy and he's got tattoos.
Oh?
And he was wearing all black because everyone was wearing, like, black T-shirts and stuff if they were a crew.
Yes.
And over the course of 6 weeks, we're pranking each other. As you do. So, like, one day he gave me, like...
Chlamydia?
That's a hell of a prank.
Silly things like put chili in your coffee and stuff.
Oh, this is your driver, Cliff?
Yeah, but, like, he became your pal because when you're over there, you don't know many people.
So you see who you think is Cliff.
Well, Cliff is a tall guy with tattoos.
Yeah, and you think, I want to see Cliff.
And he was at the very edge. He was talking to one of the girls. So I
Yes.
thought it'd be quite funny to...
So how does Neil react?
Well, he was quite wet, so I didn't really see him. I just saw when I turned around, on the other side of the pool, I saw Cliff.
Oh.
Did he take it well, or was he... I mean, he looks like he's still in a bit of a mood with you.
I don't remember there being laughing.
So it was a bit tense.
It was a bit tense, yeah.
And this is the first time you've seen him since?
I wrote him an email. I can't even remember what it said, but it was very brief. And it's actually quite awkward now.
How much of Love Island have you watched, David? I mean, is it... I'm so sorry, what?
I haven't seen that much of it. But
No, how much of it have you
It's an
seen?
embarrassing question to answer in the context of one of the programme makers, isn't it,
Well, no,
Rob?
I mean,
And I
look-
think on some level you know that.
All right, well, that's Laura. Who would you like to quiz next?
OK, Chris. Sorry, could you remind us again, Chris?
This is Neil, and I was once forced to stay at his house because I'd handed my own keys into a lost property office.
Whereabouts is the house?
I live in the leafy royal borough of Kingston-upon-Thames.
OK.
So, which lost property office did you hand the keys to?
The Roundhouse music venue in London.
So, where did you find these keys?
Well, they were my keys.
So they were in your pocket?
Yes. We'd been to the concert.
Who were you seeing? Who were you watching?
The late, great Chris Cornell, who's sadly no longer with us.
Ah, yes. Are you familiar with his work, David?
Nope.
Do you know his work with Savage Garden?
Now you've said some
Savage
other
Garden?
words in an order.
What are they called?
Soundgarden.
What?
Soundgarden.
Yeah. Are you familiar with his work?
Soundgarden!
Oh, that is just brilliant. It's like watching two people on Last of the Summer Wine debating grime.
Chris, who had you gone to the gig with?
So I went to the gig with Neil. Neil's a friend of mine.
How do you know Neil?
From childhood.
Oh, so is he from Liverpool as well?
Yeah.
Does he live in Kingston?
Yes.
So, coincidentally, two friends from Liverpool grew up together, now live near each other, miles away in Kingston.
Well, I wouldn't say coincidentally. I mean, we moved to the same place as each other.
OK. So, talk us through the key mix-up incident.
So I pulled out a tissue out of my pocket and I heard a set of keys land on the floor. And I thought, oh, hello, someone's dropped some keys there. I picked the keys up and I didn't recognise them as my own keys.
Why? What do your keys have on them? Like a...
Well, what had happened is I'd put a new keyring on them earlier that day and I just didn't recognise them instantly.
The new key... What was the new keyring?
It was a heavy-duty Harley-Davidson.
A whole-size bike?
So I held them up in the air and shouted, has anybody lost any keys? And nobody answered.
How come you didn't check yourself first and
Because I didn't recognise them as my keys.
But did you not think to check your pockets to see if you had your keys on you?
Well, would you check your pockets for your keys if you found keys that you didn't think were yours?
But I would have thought the first thing to do is have a feel to see if your keys are in your pocket.
If you owned a red phone and you found a blue phone on the floor, would you check your pocket to see if you still had your red phone?
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
So nobody claimed ownership of them, and so I asked Neil, can you go and hand these in at the lost property, because somebody's dropped them.
Yeah. Right.
And then I went home.
Right.
So I get dropped off, and then I'm having a rummage, and I'm like, I don't know where my keys are. I've lost my keys. That's a bit funny, isn't it? On the same day that I found somebody else... I see what's happened here. And then I had to phone Neil and ask him to come back and get me.
What colour was the phone? It's a lovely image, isn't it? Those two up north in Liverpool going, one day I'm gonna move away to London. And the other one going, can I come? Of course you can, Neil. You can look after the keys and I'll buy us a lovely big house.
All right. What about David?
You sat on his shoulders.
Yeah, remind us of this claim.
Yes, I once sat on his shoulders to get a better view of a fat chaffinch.
Is there a breed called the fat chaffinch?
No, this was a rotund example of the common or garden chaffinch.
What did you have to
It was sort
look
of
over?
up in a tree, and Neil was keen for me to get a good look at it.
Why?
Because I'd expressed an interest in birds. He said there was a lovely, interesting, quite fat chaffinch in this tree. And I sort of went, oh, yes, I can... Yeah. But Neil felt I could get a better look at it, and he was right. I didn't get a perfect view. I had a sort of sense of a bit of wingtip coming over the side of the... I can see it now.
Neil is literally stood there going, thank God I don't really know this man.
And I sort of climbed up, there was a bit of a gate there.
Right.
And I climbed up a bit.
Can I just interrupt you a second, David? Let's just get to the nub of the issue. How the hell do you know him?
Because I was staying with my family in a holiday cottage in Cornwall, let's say. Yes, Cornwall. And he lived in a nearby cottage, and one morning... It was a lovely...
One morning he said, "Hello, young David, who I've never met before. Have you ever seen a chaffinch?"
Yeah.
How old were you?
It was last year, so I was...
Last year, you got on his shoulders. I just assumed it was from your childhood.
I mean, no. This is current me, and what I am asking you to believe is that Neil is strong enough to bear the weight of me for a few brief moments while I enjoy the miracle of nature.
Well, why is he there?
Well, he lives near there, and he happened to be there.
Just happened to be,
he happened to be
in
there.
the garden?
I don't know.
Was he in the
happened
garden?
to be there. For all I know, he'd been waiting there all night.
Right.
So I assumed we'd just encountered each other.
Is this in the back garden?
No, a little gravelly area
At the
outside
front?
both cottages.
Yeah.
Casual chat.
Yeah.
Lovely to be here.
Yeah.
And he says there's an interesting fat chaffinch.
Let's not forget, you said you were on gravel, so if this went wrong, it would... As somebody who has fallen from a height, gravel's not what you want. You want a flower bed.
I wasn't in a position to ask for the ground to be relaid.
How did you get on? I don't mean, we went out for tea and how did you get on his shoulders?
Up the gate.
Oh, you said you got on the gate, stepped on his shoulder. How long were you up there for?
No more than an hour.
An hour?
For the bird watchers, paint a picture of the chaffinch.
It's sort of pinky front.
Pinky front.
A browny back.
Browny back.
Yeah.
And, beak and eyes.
So evocative.
Back to you in the Springwood studio.
All right, we need an answer. So, is Neil Laura's wet workmate, Chris's sleepover saviour, or David's bird-watching buddy?
I have to say, first impressions are that Neil and Chris look about the same age. But the bit that I'm doubting is he heard the keys drop and he's just taken something out of his pocket.
I mean, if you drop keys, you know you've dropped keys, surely.
There were literally thousands of people coming out of this building creating noise and mayhem.
There's a lot of Savage
There's
Garden
a lot
fans.
of stuff going on.
Go on, what do you think?
I think Laura's telling the truth.
You think Laura's telling the truth?
Yeah.
Why?
The tension was there.
You think there's a tension?
Yeah, there was an awkwardness.
OK, well, go with my team and say Laura.
You think it's Laura? Neil, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Neil, and Chris had to stay at mine after handing his little keys into lost property.
Yes, Neil is Chris's sleepover saviour. Thank you very much, Neil. So please welcome this week's special guest, Sean. So, Raj, what is Sean to you?
This is Sean. I used to whip his shirt off in public for money.
Right, Raj's bare-chested buddy. Gemma, how do you know Sean?
This is Sean, and at school he blew up my Whatsits.
All right, Gemma's crisp combustor. And finally, David, what is your relationship with Sean?
This is Sean. As a boy, I would only let him cut my hair if he was dressed as Zorro.
So there we have it. Raj's bare-chested buddy, Gemma's crisp combustor, or David's heroic hairdresser. Lee's team, where will you begin?
OK, Raj, you used to rip his shirt off for money.
Yep.
When was this?
Back in the early 80s.
Well, let's just get straight to the point. What the hell are you talking about? Why did you rip his shirt off for money?
Well, I'm a bit of a keen amateur magician.
Oh, hello. Where did you learn this? On top of a bicycle?
But I also owned a bistro, so it allowed me...
Oh, hello. So, what a life you've led.
And because I had the bistro, it allowed me to indulge my passion of magic. So I used to hold magic evenings, where we'd give them dinner, and then we'd do close-up magic, and then we'd end up doing a little bit of a cabaret.
So what was the trick that involved you ripping off his shirt?
Well, it was the finale to the cabaret act.
What was the finale?
Ripping his shirt off.
That's not a trick, that's assault.
Talk us through it, Raj. We've come to your bistro, and we've had a super evening. The food is lovely.
Yep.
And then, hang on, what's happening now?
Yeah, I would ask for a volunteer to come out.
Right.
And lots of people would put their hands up, but I would choose Sean.
Oh, he was
He was my stooge.
So you're telling me that the regulars used to go, that fella's in again. He's having a terrible night. Wait till the end of the night and you see what happens. It gets worse. Every week he falls for this, the poor fella. I'm a viewer. Don't tell me how it's done. As a viewer, what would I have seen?
You would have seen my volunteer come out, and I would sit him down on a chair. I would tell him to relax. I would undo some buttons.
And would you take it, like, from the collar and just go whoosh and it would come off?
Yeah, something like that.
Did it ever go wrong? Did you ever, like, take his nose off?
Well, we had a few incidents.
What happened when it went wrong?
Well, he's the third stooge I've had.
All right, who would you like to quiz next?
Gemma?
Gemma.
OK. So he blew up your what's-it, the little snack. Was it a very strict school?
Yeah, I was at school. He was my teacher, and I was being naughty by eating in the back of the room, just being a bit of a troublemaker.
How did he blow it up?
Well, he was in the middle of doing an experiment, and then he made an example of me by taking the packet to the front of the room where this experiment was happening and, like, sprayed it with, like, a dry oxygen or something, like some sort of steamy thing. The Bunsen burner was going... And then they just, like, went, poof!
Just by heating them up?
Yeah. But, like, it was something to do with what was sprayed, like, this kind of...
Yeah. Petrol.
Yeah. And then everybody was laughing, and then he said, that's what will happen if you eat what's-it.
Did it stop you from eating in class? Did it have the desired effect?
It had the desired effect, and we got on a lot more after that as well.
It broke the ice.
Yeah.
Suddenly it was Dead Poets Society.
What's his surname?
Smith.
Smith?
Yeah.
Oh.
How did you just think of that like that?
Does Smiths make what? No, it's Golden Wonder, isn't it?
I think Golden Wonder sold What's-Its, I think, to Walkers. I think it was a major corporate error because they were losing market share in their crisps, but they had this What's-Its brand, and then on some dark day they decided to sell that brand, and then they were left with nothing. And that shows you the kind of error that can be made at a corporate level. So we should be careful before we believe that these corporations are sort of magical and the private sector can do things. And before we sell the NHS down the river, remember the idiot here, Golden Wonder.
OK, now then, what about David? Just remind us, David.
As a boy, I would only let Sean cut my hair if he was dressed as Zorro.
It doesn't seem very worth his while. What was the kind of... How much were you paying him to dress as Zorro for this one haircut?
To be honest, I was a child. I didn't pay him.
This is the bit I doubt, that David was a child ever. Did you go asking for Zorro? Was it just an optional thing you used to put on the board? As Zorro, an extra £3.
I think my parents requested Zorro.
What?
Why?
Well, because I was nervous about having a haircut. I think I was about 5, something like that. And I think they'd had an awkward experience with me freaking out at a previous hairdressing encounter.
Yeah, it makes sense. So let's calm him down by getting someone to do it with a blindfold whilst I'm holding a big sharp knife. So how old were you?
5, I think. Might have been 6, I'm not sure.
How old was he, approximately?
How old was he?
Don't look at him!
You can't stop me looking at it. I think he was in his 20s.
Right. So let's be kind and say 21. So, therefore, he's 15 years older than you at that time.
Yeah.
You're saying this man is 15 years older than you.
And how old are you? 47.
Approximately the same age to me, that man.
OK.
Paint a picture for us. Young Master David is going to the high street to the barber's, unaware of the great fame and glory that lies ahead of him. For now, he's just a small boy.
Yes.
What happens?
I can't remember the details, but broadly I was very nervous about going to hairdressers.
I don't want to go in, Mummy. No. I want to go home and write with my crayons. I'm going to write a satirical look back at the week that's just happened. My friends in playgroup are telling me I'm quite the wit.
I mean, I was probably unbearable, you're right. I contemplate that every day.
You say unbearable, I say adorable.
Thank you. I don't remember the details. What's that?
Sending you a heart.
Oh, is that a heart? I thought that was saying, remember your kidneys.
Right, we need an answer. So, Lee's team. Is Sean Raj's bare-chested buddy, Gemma's crisp combustor, or David's heroic hairdresser?
I'm struggling with David's here a little bit.
Yes. So Gemma's Watsits. That's very believable. That's the kind of thing a kind of wacky science teacher would do to...
Yeah. It is very
passion
believable.
in science.
And what's unbelievable is the idea that... Now, Raj...
Have you left the gas on?
Raj, show us a trick.
If I could have half an hour
yeah.
and the use of the internet, I'm sure I could do that.
Oh, yeah, but what did you think the question was? I don't know, what do you think?
I think he does look a lot like a science teacher. I think Gemma's telling the truth.
So we're going to say Gemma?
Yeah.
Gemma?
I'm saying it's Gemma. OK, right. So, Sean, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Sean, and Raj used to whip my shirt off for money.
Yes, Sean is Raj's bare-chested buddy, and we can now see the trick. So, you're going to need to wear masks for this, please. Sean, if you...
Zorro masks!
You take a position there in the chair, and then over to you, Raj.
Oh, God. Well, I would simply get Sean out as my stooge. We'd act as if we didn't know each other. I'd say, good evening, how are you? And I would undo his wrist button, and then I would undo this button, and then, as you can see, I'd undo this button. And then, all I'd say is, on the count of 3, we'd say some magic words. And tonight, they are, would I lie to you? So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3.
Would I lie to you?
Oh, hang on. What's happened? I've nearly killed him.
Gemma's science test. The noise was the best bit.
30 years since we've done it.
I've just got pictures of him 30 years ago, just coming in every week going, can you please do it right this time?
It was the second poll. You decided to go again was the coolest bit. Why did you keep going?
Thank God you didn't cut him in half.
Is Sean all right?
Who cares? He's fine.
I love the idea that he had to put masks on for safety reasons. And it almost took his head off.
So please welcome this week's special guest, Lucy. So, Sam, what is Lucy to you?
So, this is Lucy, and last year her pig delivered my Christmas card.
Miles, how do you know Lucy?
This is Lucy. I know Lucy. When I had to have an intimate medical examination, I inadvertently brought her with me.
David, what is your relationship with Lucy?
This is Lucy. Together, we discovered that I have the hearing of a rat.
So, Lee, where do you want to start?
I'll start with Sam. How do you know this lady?
She lives in my village, or where I used to live.
OK. And is she a farmer?
Yes.
Right. Did her pig deliver your Christmas card from her, or did her pig deliver your Christmas card to somebody else?
No, her pig delivered the Christmas card that was for me to me.
To you?
Yeah.
Anybody want to say the joke or not?
Did the pig have it in its little snout? Because if it did, wouldn't it have got very wet? Because pig snouts are very wet.
Are they?
Yes.
You never kissed a pig? Very wet.
Oh, yes.
It actually takes a while to get used to.
So, you know, like you get a little dog, a little harness.
Oh, the Christmas card harness.
It is a harness, like you would have a lead on a dog, and the cards were there.
Slid under the harness.
Yeah.
How far is your house from her house?
About 2 miles.
2 miles.
But the pig hasn't walked 2 miles. The pig has been driven to the village, and then off the pig trots. And I was doing it's Christmas, right, dinner.
It's Christmas Day?
Yes.
It's a bit late for Christmas cards, Christmas Day.
Well, that's why they have to resort to delivery by pig.
I'm washing the pots, looking out the window. Really lovely day, beautiful, beautiful. And I see Barry, the pig.
Barry?
Barry, the pig is called Barry.
So you'd met Barry before?
Yeah, everyone knows Barry. Barry goes to the pub and everything. And so Barry's...
I hope he doesn't have the port scratchings.
Oh, that's horrible. Really horrible.
It's like that going, sounds like my brother Pete, this.
Awful. No, anyway, so he's toppling along, and I'm like, I hope he's all right. So I go out to check he's all right.
Could you just talk us through how you did that again?
Where did the pig go after you'd taken the card?
I picked the pig up because he's only little, pot-bellied pig.
I think I've read recently that there's no such thing as a miniature pot-bellied pig. All there is little pigs that are young. I know a rescue centre that takes loads of pigs because people have sold them as pot-bellied pigs and they're not.
George
you have to be careful with that, though, because they can grow to be really enormous and people think they're really cute and little and all the rest of it.
Yeah, but that's the same with kids, isn't it?
OK. Who would you like to question next?
Sorry, Miles, can you remind me?
Yeah, when I had to have an intimate medical examination, I inadvertently brought Lucy with me.
OK. Tell us about the medical examination.
Right, well...
Whereabouts on your body?
Yeah.
Well, it was an intimate medical examination, so already I suspect your options are limited.
I'm going to go in the bottom area.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've got to choose front or back.
This reminds me of the conversation we had the first time we met.
Yeah.
Was it back?
Sure.
It was back.
It was back.
Yes,
it was the back...
bottom.
Basically, I was working, and then when I got to work, I felt ill.
Right.
And so I needed to go to hospital.
There was pains down below?
Yes. And Lucy, very kindly, rang NHS Direct for me.
Right, who is Lucy?
Why?
Lucy was a colleague.
What situation were you in at this time?
So I was rehearsing a play.
OK, and is Lucy an actor?
No, Lucy is... she does the technical stuff. She's a stage manager.
This could be true, because I don't think Miles was quite sure what she does for a living. No. I don't know, but when I say cappuccino, it arrives.
And so the NHS Direct said, right, you need to go to the nearest hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that Lucy came with me to the hospital is because the thing that I was rehearsing was a play that only had me in. And so Lucy was told to go with me so that we could run the lines.
What was the play?
It was a one-man play that I was in.
The Downpipe Blues.
It was called... it was called The Life I Lead.
So what happens? You get to the hospital.
So we go to the hospital, and we're sitting in the waiting room, and someone comes and says to us, because we're sitting next to each other, can you come in now? So we just do as we're told, and we get up and we go in. So I thought that must be what's meant to happen. They spoke to both of us.
That's the problem with having the same word for you singular and you plural. We should go back to thou.
So we went in, and the doctor, she says, I've got to examine you, so what you need to do is take your pants and your trousers off, get up onto that bed there, turn onto your side so your back is facing me. And I went, OK, and at that point Lucy went, I really don't think I'm meant to be in here. and the doctor, she said, no, it's absolutely fine for partners to be here. And she went, I'm not his partner, I'm his colleague. And that's when Lucy left the room and the examination reached its very happy conclusion. Yeah.
Now, what about David? Just remind us, David.
This is Lucy, and together we discovered that I have the hearing of a rat.
Oh, yeah. How did this get discovered?
Well, in our house, we were wondering for some time if there might be some mice about. I'd seen a mouse outside, and I think my wife had sort of wondered whether she'd sensed some scurrying, but it was
You weren't
probably...
staying at Disneyland, were you? It wasn't a 7-foot person with a French accent again, was it?
Yeah. Anyway, I then went away for a couple of days for work.
OK.
Which I occasionally get. I then returned home late one night and went into the kitchen, and I could hear a distinct, high-pitched... And I went out of the kitchen, and it stopped. And I went into the kitchen, and I could hear it. And I thought, is there something wrong with me, other than the usual? And I wonder, is it something weird that the fridge is doing? Or the wine fridge? Yes, we're doing OK. or the dishwasher? It's like a dream come true. Anyway, I'm not sure. I asked my wife about it, and it turns out she's bought something which is a plug-in mouse-scaring noise machine. And it was the frequency that was being emitted by this plug-in machine.
And it should be inaudible to humans.
Should be inaudible to humans.
And where does Lucy come into this story?
Well, I mentioned it to my doctor, and they said I should have a hearing test because it's an unusual thing, and I wouldn't want to only hear things that rats and mice could hear. So I went to have my ears tested by Lucy.
Nothing else, though? I mean, if the dog whistle went off in the park, would you hear it?
Well, I don't know. I heard that. I don't know what frequency that was.
I didn't hear anything.
Yeah,
did you hear anything? Did you hear it? I didn't hear anything.
No, there was a little sort of rodenty sneeze there that Rob did, which probably only I can hear. I like to think it's a superpower, really.
All right, we need an answer. Lee's team, is Lucy Sam's farmyard friend, Miles's check-up chum, or David's ear expert?
It's Miles for me, Lee.
Miles?
Yeah, because I have so many problems with my bottom. Yeah. I walk into the doctor's surgery like this, and he just says, "Hello, Mr. Mortimer."
You say it's Miles?
For me, yeah.
Have you had similar examinations?
Every single week.
What about you, Sarah? Who are you going to say?
Oh, Sam.
Sam for you. I'll go Miles.
You say it's Miles?
I think it might be Miles.
OK. Lucy, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Lucy, and Miles took me to his intimate examination.
Yes, Lucy is Miles's check-up chum. Thank you very much, Lucy. So please welcome this week's special guest, John. So, Ed, what is John to you?
This is John. I once hid behind my shower curtain after mistaking him for a burglar.
Ed's mistaken miscreant. Kate, how do you know John?
This is John. He gave me the best day of my life at the National Funeral Exhibition.
Kate's morbid mate. And Lee, what is your relationship with John?
This is John. He recently named his baby Lee after I helped him deliver it in a local library.
David, where do you want to start?
Ed, where was this shower curtain?
I was renting a new flat, and it was the first night that I was there.
Yeah. And tell us a story.
I was asleep.
Yeah.
And I was woken up by someone coming into the front door, and I wasn't expecting anyone to be coming in.
Yeah.
So my immediate reaction was to panic. I was in a new place, ran to the bathroom, locked the door, got into the bath, shut the shower curtain.
Have you seen the film Psycho?
I haven't.
And Ed, what was he doing in your flat?
So it emerges that he was the previous tenant, and it was his first night in his new place. He was drunk and just went home on autopilot.
Didn't you change the keys when you took over?
You can't just change the keys, you have to change the locks as well, otherwise they don't work.
Well, we got the keys off the landlord.
Yes.
And obviously, John hadn't given his keys back.
So what happens next?
Well, so I was in the bathroom for quite a long time panicking because I thought there's a burglar.
How did the panic manifest? Was it palpitations? What was going on?
Sort of an all-over fizzy feeling.
Right.
Are you living with a girlfriend?
Yeah, but she wasn't. She was away for work. I had to do the move, basically.
So you're cowering behind the shower curtain.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're as fizzy as anything.
Yeah.
Girlfriend's away, you do the move. All right, OK. And he's in.
That's exactly how the conversation went.
Yeah. And he's pickled, coming in, fumbling around.
Yes.
Where's my bed? And you're behind the shower curtain.
I was fizzing for about an hour, and I could hear them smashing
an
around,
hour?
like
How
fumbling
fizzing?
around.
Smashing around or fumbling around?
Yes.
They're different things.
No, well, smashing and fumbling.
Smash, smash, smash.
He fumbled.
Fumble.
He fumbled.
Smash, smash, smash.
He fumbled.
Your Tommy Cooper impression isn't getting any better, is it?
He fumbled to the extent that it became a smash.
Ed, what is the moment when you decide to open the bathroom door and emerge?
When it's gone completely silent.
And that doesn't strike you as the most threatening moment?
No, because he might have gone. I was hoping he'd gone.
You come out cowering. Open the door.
I peek and can see that he's fallen asleep on the sofa.
Oh, my God, right.
You're in pyjamas. You go out.
No,
Do you wake him up?
Boxers.
So you're just in boxer shorts?
Yes.
One can feel vulnerable like that.
Yeah.
What do you sleep in, David?
Conventional pyjamas.
Do you sleep in the full
Stylish.
matching top and bottom pyjama?
Actually, at the moment, seeing as you're interested, I have got...
I'm not interested, David, I'm aroused.
My most recent system involves more pyjama-ish bottoms, and then actually it's more like a T-shirt on the top, which is incredibly modern.
What do you sleep in?
I sleep in my boxer shorts if I'm cold, and if I'm feeling hot, nothing.
Now I'm aroused.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
So you're in a Lee Mack-style nocturnal outfit.
Yeah, but the cold version.
Yeah.
And I gently approach. I did have a small vase in one hand just in case it turned rough.
Had you taken that into the bathroom, or did you pick it up?
On the way.
Right, OK.
Off the little table.
Yeah.
So you'd unpacked the flat in one day, girlfriend away, and thought the little vase would look lovely here?
Well, I'd not fully unpacked, but I'd unpacked the knick-knack box and the little vase was at the top of it.
Knick-knacks first, necessities later.
Yeah.
We're not animals.
I don't need my clothes, but I tell you what we do need is a tiny little trinket area.
All right, look, you're there in your boxers, you got your knickknacks out. What happens... What happens next?
I gently shook him by the shoulder, gently woke him up, and he was a bit confused, to be honest, but once he realised what he'd done, he was very, very embarrassed.
So what had he been doing for all that fumbling and smashing?
Well, I think he was trying to make himself a snack.
Did you see evidence of what sort of snack it was?
Well, the cupboards were empty.
He'd made himself a lovely knick-knack sandwich.
So, David, who would you like to quiz next?
Kate. So what is the National Funeral Exhibition?
It's like the trade show.
So it's not a permanent thing. It happens once a year, like a sort of conference, like the motor show, that kind of thing.
It's like the ideal home exhibition, the ideal death exhibition.
I like to call it the hearse of the year show. Anyway, a friend of mine who is also a vicar had been to it before and said, you should go to this. And so John took me along because John is my local funeral director.
And why was it so fantastic?
There was lots of things to try out.
Could you get in a coffin?
You could get in a coffin and you could have the lid put on.
Did you give it a try, Kate?
I did get in a coffin and had a little try in one.
No.
Yeah. Well, I'm never going to know what it feels like,
You will
really,
one day.
am I?
You will one day. I couldn't do that.
No,
Could
you
do
won't
that?
one day, Rob.
Well, I think when we die...
We're alive.
We're still alive.
You're a very spiritual person, aren't you, Rob? Yeah.
Apart from these coffins, what else was on display?
I had to go on a grave digging machine. That was a lot of fun.
With a grave digging machine?
I was going to say, is that just a spade?
So, are you friends?
Yep, he picked me up in his car. We went round the exhibition. He was shopping for some things. He had some things that he needed to buy.
What did he need to buy?
New top hats for all the staff, and he also needed more storage, a bigger fridge.
Sorry, did you just say more storage, a bigger fridge? Does it have an ice-making machine at the front?
How many times in a week do you guys speak to each other?
Oh, only when we've got work, so it depends what the rate of...
Once again, the subject of the local death rate has come up on the show.
All right. Now then, what about Lee? Just remind us what you said, Lee.
This is John. He named his baby Lee because I recently helped him deliver it in my local library.
OK, so what were you...
Sorry, we haven't got time for any more questions.
What were you doing in a library?
How dare you? I'd gone to borrow a book. It's a library.
And John is there with his wife?
Well, yes. He didn't give birth to the baby.
And she's that pregnant?
Yeah. She was on the floor, screaming.
In the library?
I said, are you all right? And she said, yeah, I'm really overdue. I said, don't panic, the fines aren't that big here.
When was this?
Oh, this was, like, this morning. No, it wasn't this morning. It was about 3 months ago.
OK, so you were in the library 3 months ago.
Correct.
During the lockdown, when all the libraries are closed.
I might be wrong with my timings, but it was just...
Feb.
It was the first time the library had opened after lockdown, because that's why it was so quiet. I was first in there.
You were first in when the library reopened.
So did I say library? Sorry,
yes.
I meant Wetherspoons. I was one of the first in, and I was in there with my mask, and he thought I was a nurse, and...
So what's the first sound you hear from his wife?
Shh. It was on my phone at the time.
Yeah.
Shh. Like that. Right. And then I walked off, but that was about 10 minutes later when she had a baby.
Who was the one who told her it was time to push?
I wouldn't know when someone has to push.
So who was running this whole thing?
He was running it a bit, the librarian was running it a bit, the other library staff member was doing it a bit, and I was on hand to help out. I was getting it wrong.
Yes,
I was going, pull!
So, just talk us through it. Take us through it stage by stage.
Waters broke in non-fiction, and then she was now...
Now we're in the realms of fiction.
Well, ironically...
we all know that.
Ironically, the most space was in the children's section. She was lying in the children's section. And she goes, I need something. So I picked off the 0 to 2 books. I said, well, they'll come in handy. And then I started helping out.
How did you help out?
How?
Well, first of all, I held her hand.
Really?
Yeah, but I used 2 hands because I felt it was more intimate. You'll appreciate this. I was giving a little prayer at the same time. Help me out here, please, God, I don't know what to do.
Yes.
No. And did a baby appear, or did she get into the ambulance?
Not only a baby, 3 wise men. He's good, isn't he?
So let's not jump ahead now, Lee. Go through it.
You said jump ahead. It was 2,000 years ago.
Let's go on. So, you've got 2 hands praying.
Yeah.
What happened then?
Well, and then she starts having the baby. So
I mean, that doesn't happen
in
an instant. You got as a little bit of an appearance.
I didn't get involved in the business end, did I? Yeah,
Who did? The librarian?
My manager. He deals with all the business stuff.
All right. We need an answer. So, David's team. Is John Ed's mistaken miscreant, Kate's morbid mate, or Lee's proud parent?
So at the beginning, when Ed first told his story, I didn't buy it. But now, looking at him, I'm getting more of the drunk guy and less of the funeral director.
But that's because he's come and he's all in casual situation. Does John have a family, Kate?
Yes.
What do they comprise of?
I'll tell you. A small baby called Lee and a wife.
He's got a younger son who's going to follow in the family footsteps.
Wow, he grew up quick.
So, what's it going to be then? Time to decide.
Well, John, would you just tell us?
Process of elimination, I'm going Ed.
You're going Ed, OK. Yeah. Claude?
I'm going Kate.
David, what do you get when you look at John?
Kate has behaved like she knows this man.
OK.
I'll go Kate.
John, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm John, and I took Kate to the National Funeral Exhibition.
Yes, John is Kate's morbid mate. Thank you very much, John. Please welcome this week's special guest, Graham. Nicola, what is Graham to you?
So this is Graham, and I once got him to jump out of a cupboard to scare away my hiccups.
Right, Nicola's hiccup hero. Dan, how do you know Graham?
This is Graham, and he is the secretary of my highly exclusive club, and the name of the club, Egg Club.
Right, Dan's club cohort. And David, finally you. What is your relationship with Graham?
This is Graham. He comforted me when, while visiting a model village, I suddenly became overwhelmed by my own enormousness.
So there we have it. Lee's team, where are you going to start?
Nicola, tell me what happened.
I had a really, really bad case of the hiccups on set in Derry Girls, and it was ruining the day.
Could I just hear the sound of your hiccup, please?
It would be a fake hiccup, but you can.
But, yes, I'd like to hear it.
OK. Just, like, had that moment where I was like, Mr. Motivator's asking me to do a fake hiccup. Like, what is my life? This is so strange. OK.
What?
Oh, goodness.
I don't know, did that help?
That sounded like Chihuahua from a distance.
Chihuahua from a distance? That's a scent, isn't it?
Graham seems to be quite a normal-looking man. Yeah. And so what was so scary about him coming out of a cupboard?
No.
Are you easily scared?
No. So we were in this old school building, and he is the second AD. He was like, I will hide somewhere here. He was like, I'm going to get...
He told you?
Yeah, like, I knew it was going to happen.
And the anticipation wasn't enough. You needed the shock.
It was literally the only thing.
Yeah.
What other techniques did you try before you did that?
Tried to do that water upside down thing, but that's a whole crock of rubbish.
Yeah.
Did you hold your breath and put your fingers in your ears?
Yeah.
What's the point of the fingers in the ears?
Because it stops air getting in your ears.
Yeah.
Stop you breathing out through your ears.
There's air getting in there to make you hiccup again.
Is that what causes it? Air going in the ears?
Just any air through any orifice.
What else do you have to put your finger in there?
You only have 2 fingers.
Well, you don't, you have 10. Did you really just say on national television, you've only got 2 fingers?
No one noticed, Lee. No one noticed that. I didn't know how many I had. Nicola, did you know Graham's name beforehand? Do you know all of the crew's name when you're filming?
You definitely know the second, because they're the ones that whenever you need to go to the bathroom, you have to ask them. Like you're in primary school.
You have to ask them to go to the toilet?
You do, and then they...
You're really method replaying this child, aren't you?
But if you have to go to the bathroom, they have to know where the actors are at all times. So there's a special code on a radio for when an actor's in the bathroom.
What's that code?
10-1.
Yeah.
10-1?
I have no idea what it stands for.
10-1, unless you need the other one, then it's 10-2.
So he jumps out of the cupboard.
Yes.
What happens?
I knew it was happening, so I sort of laughed and then realised that they were gone.
Oh. Well, right, who would you like to question next?
Dan.
Yes.
Just remind us of your statement, Dan.
This is Graham, and Graham is the secretary of a highly exclusive club that I've got, and that club is called Egg Club.
OK, how many people are in this exclusive club?
You'd have to check with the secretary, Graham.
He can't tell us this.
I think 15, 16.
And when you say exclusive, have people tried to join and they've been turned away?
Yeah, in Egg Club, we have a very specific poaching method. It's one of those things that started as a bit of a joke. I put some pictures of some poached eggs on social media, and then lots of people started sending pictures of their poached eggs back to me. So I said, you're banned from Egg Club for not doing it right.
And how many people do you think you've banned over the years or months this has been going?
Maybe 100. In Egg Club, we're like a basic egg, so no sort of frills, no salmon or... what's that green stuff? I've forgotten what the green stuff is.
The green stuff? Spinach?
No.
Avocado.
Somebody's banned from Avocado Club.
Graham sent me a picture of his eggs with no avocado, no salmon, just plain toast, butter, eggs. And I said, you're in, Graham. And then I send him a direct message and say, welcome to Egg Club. And
what does he say in reply to that?
He says, oh, fantastic.
Really?
Probably about a year into Egg Club. People start getting really angry that you're banned from... So I hosted an event about a year ago, and somebody came up to me with a plate with 2 poached eggs on it, and they said, you banned me from Egg Club 6 months ago. Can you check these to see if they're OK? And I said, when did you cook them? And he said, I cooked them yesterday. I said, well, you're clearly banned for another year. So...
Now, on social media, of course, you get a lot of celebrities, famous people. Have any of them had dalliances with your seemingly futile club?
Gordon Ramsay's band.
No.
Did he send an egg, or did you just see him make an egg?
He made an egg, and somebody commented on his egg and said, "Oh, you're not going to get into Egg Club with that." And he said, "I think it was what the is Egg Club," and I said, "Foul language banned for life." So,
Dan, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are you quite lonely?
No. I've got 3 kids and 2 jobs, but
But still time for Egg Club.
What about David? Just remind us of your claim, David.
This is Graham, and he comforted me when, while going round a model village, I became overwhelmed by my own enormousness.
OK. Where was this model village?
It was in the Cotswolds.
Did you go on your own?
I did, yeah.
Is there a castle there?
No. If there'd been a castle, I wouldn't have gone to the model village. Because there'd be a castle.
OK, so this is interesting. So you think castles are better than model villages?
Oh, he loves castles.
So what else is on...
Not as much as him. That's why they call him Mr. Moat.
Why on earth did you go to a model village on your own?
I didn't have anything to do.
Was this recently?
It was a couple of years ago. I was working in the Stroud area.
Is that a euphemism?
Well, no.
OK.
Come on, look, you've got the moat thing. You're fine for a couple of years on it. So I was filming something round there. I had basically a day off, so I thought I'd go and sort of go somewhere nice.
And where were you when you cried? What particular part of the model village made you weep?
I think I had just passed the church.
Oh, that must have been a hell of a meal.
There was... yeah, absolutely. And, you know, with all those crenellations...
We've not sorted that out yet.
Very painful. Anyway, I just became... overwhelmed is the word. I couldn't bear the size of me and the smallness of the place. And I was tired. I was working very hard because, you know, as an actor, no one gives more than me.
Yeah.
And so I'm quite drained anyway. It was probably too ambitious to go to a model village that day. I should have just been resting.
When you talk about your acting and the extent to which you give, I don't think the viewer will realise the amount of research you do. And for you to play a sort of repressed, upper-middle-class Englishman, middle-aged, takes, months and months.
It's a huge stretch. It's a privilege.
I bet it was when you passed that church.
It's so difficult to deal. On the one side, I'm got Rob making an assault on my whole career. On the other side, you are persistently implying that I have crapped out an entire medieval building. I just don't know. I feel like Germany in the First World War fighting on 2 fronts. I'm going to turn fascistic in a few decades. That's what I'm saying.
So what did Graham do exactly?
Well, he comforted me.
How?
I had been overwhelmed, and I got to the point where I had to just lower myself, to at least get my head down to the level of the rooftops, because I was freaking out. The sort of sense of unearned power, the ability to smash and destroy. It felt like a bitter metaphor of humanity's predation on the earth. And I was just really...
Are you saying all this out loud at the time, are you?
No, I'm not saying anything out loud, but I am sort of crouching down next to, I think, a miniaturised shop with a Bovril advert on the outside.
Nice bit of detail.
Thank you. And Graham comes over and asks if I'm OK.
And what did you say?
Did Graham work there, or was he just another person enjoying the sights?
He worked there.
Okay.
And he says they get a lot of this.
Oh, really? Right. We need an answer. So, Lee's team. Is Graham Nicola's hiccup hero, Dan's club cohort, or David's model mate?
Well, David is full of hogwash.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I don't know. You come onto a programme and you share something difficult and painful, and then this is how you're treated. Is this what would happen to me on Graham Norton? I don't think so. No. I think they'd mention the book and thank me for coming.
And Dan, as for your eggs, no way, Dan. The only thing that's remotely probably true is that Nicola. Because I look at Graham and he looks like the kind of person who would hide in a cupboard.
I think it's Egg Club. It's made me so furious, I think it's true.
You think it's Nicola, you think it's David, and
OK, I think Nicola then as well.
OK, Nicola then.
We think that it is Nicola with her hiccups. Right. Graham, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Graham, and I'm the secretary of Dan's Egg Club.
Yes. And we can see one of the submissions to Egg Club now. Here it is. This is a picture that Dan was sent. That's what happens. They send it in, they say, "Morning, Dan, surely worthy of Egg Club entry. Where do I pick up the keys?" And then Dan fires back with that. Unsanctioned rusty, lack of cutlery, overconfidence, banned from Egg Club applications for 117 days. Thank you very much, Graham. So please welcome this week's special guest, Zaid. I must play Super Mario again. Joel, what is Zaid to you?
Oh, this is Zaid. He came to my wedding, and when he started dancing, my mum started crying.
Joel's wedding wrecker. AJ, how do you know Zaid?
So this is Zaid, and I had to cut short our only date because he insisted on riding a penny farthing.
AJ's disappointing date, and finally, David. What is your relationship with Zaid?
This is Zaid. After being splashed by a transit van, I wore his trousers to a book signing.
Lee's team, where to begin?
Joel, when was your wedding?
It was in Mykonos.
Did I say when or where?
I said when.
When was your wedding?
Mykonos. When was it? Last September.
Last September. What was it about his dance that made your mum cry?
Well, I say dancing, it was moshing.
Was he the only one moshing?
He wasn't. Other people joined in with the moshing, and my mum thought they were fighting, and so
I see. Yeah. What was the music that was playing?
It was Papa Roach, Last Resort.
We have a sound team on this show that are pretty adequate. I think, even as we've been speaking, they've probably been searching... What was it called?
Papa Roach, Last Resort.
Hit it.
Oh, that actually worked.
Oh, my God.
Last resort. Suffocation.
OK, well, OK, stop that. Why on earth were you playing that at a wedding?
In Mykonos?
Yeah.
Especially given it was the first dance.
It's very romantic, is it? Yeah. This is my last resort.
So we had our first dance, which was to a much more romantic song, and basically we had a party playlist sorted to start immediately after the first dance, and we should have, in hindsight, put it in some sort of order, but we actually just put it on shuffle.
Why didn't you pay for a DJ?
I'll be honest, I don't really understand the difference between a DJ and just, and Spotify.
Well, a DJ will feel the room. When you're DJing, David, you've told me it's about a vibe, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you told me you sense the room.
My primary thought is fire safety.
So, when your mum saw him moshing...
Yeah.
Did she cry because of him or the general chaos?
I think my mum was crying with the general chaos, really, because everyone's just started moshing away. Then my mum was like, "Oh my God, it's a fight!" And my dad was like, "Oh my God, it's a fight!" And
have we found out yet how he knows Zaid?
He goes to the gym that I used to go to.
And that's why you invited him to your wedding?
Yeah.
Did you invite all your gym people to your wedding?
Yeah, two gym people. There was only 29 people at the wedding, so I just
And two of them were randos from the gym?
Yeah. It's quite a bold move, isn't it, to go up to a strapping, muscly man and going, "Hiya, you ever been to Mykonos?"
No, who would you like to quiz next?
AJ.
Right. Now, remind us, AJ, of the connection.
I had to cut short our date because he insisted on riding a penny farthing.
Did you meet him or did he come pick you up for the date?
No, we met.
And he was there on this bike. You were like, hey, Zaid, how are you?
No, well, basically, we met in a bar. I had arrived before him, which was already annoying because I'm meant to arrive late, not you.
Yeah, come on, Zaid. Did you ask him why he was late?
No.
And he said, well, have a look at my bike. You'll soon see why.
I just didn't know anything about the penny farthing at all. We was having a lovely time on the day, and so he's like, right, should we move on to the next place? We were like, whilst we were talking, he did say that he had a penny farthing, and I just thought he was joking. And then I get outside, and he's unchaining it, and I was like, oh, you wasn't joking.
So why did you cut the date short, though?
I did actually go on to the next place. However, at the next venue, didn't find a pole to chain his penny farthing to. So, whilst we're sat at the bar, he keeps looking out the window, looking after his penny farthing.
I mean, it's one thing looking at other women on a date, but looking at a rusty old bike, that's too much, isn't it?
I'm not being funny, but it actually was.
Can I ask, AJ, is the big wheel at the front or the back?
I think it's at the front. I don't know.
How did he get on it?
I don't... But him.
How did he get on the bike?
I didn't get on the bike.
I know you
Trust
didn't.
me, I did not get on that bike.
Yeah. Well, you've had enough thinking time now. How did he get on the bike?
He just, like, got on it.
Right, you've explained it. How thank you. In the pub, your only objection was that he was looking out for his... I presume it's an antique bike.
Listen, I don't know where he got the bike from, whether he got it from Halfords or the Antiques Roadshow. All I know...
What are the two? It sounded to me like someone who's quite hard work on a date, if you don't mind me saying. I understand now why he brought along his plastic screen so he didn't have to listen to it.
How did you cut it short? What did you say?
Basically...
On your bike.
All right. David, remind us of how it is that you know Zaid.
He let me wear his trousers after I'd been splashed by a transit van and I had to go to a book signing.
Where were you?
On my way to Foyle's bookshop in London.
And where was Zaid?
He worked at the bookshop.
Was Zaid a humble assistant? Was he head of Foyle's? What was he?
I'd be surprised if he was the chief executive of the company, but he worked in the bookshop.
So you get into the shop. Now, are these sort of khaki slacks? In which case, the stainage, if we can call it that, in your front trouser area is all the more alarming and does hint at perhaps problems of a urological type.
He's asking, did it look like you'd wet yourself?
It certainly might have done. Although, to be honest, my trousers were so wet, people would have admired me if they thought I could generate that amount of urine.
Did he offer his trousers, or was he forced by someone higher up the chain to strip off and give them to TV's David Mitchell?
He offered them. I came into the shop... sort of in a squelch, sort of walking, and this signing was starting in a few minutes, and I was embarrassed by my appearance, if you can imagine such a thing.
And were the three fans staring at you in the... Or were they looking the other way at this point? Were they...
There was quite a considerable queue of, you know...
For the toilet, so you couldn't use that.
And Zaid was there representing the bookshop to say, oh, you're here for the signing of your book. And it's a brilliant book, he said.
So he says to you, why don't you use my trousers?
He had some spare trousers with him.
Oh, he had spare ones? Yeah. I mean, how funny is your book?
But why did he have spare trousers?
Because he was going to the gym, where, you know, you meet people at the gym, don't you? He was... they were like jogging bottoms.
So you did the book signing in jogging bottoms?
I did.
Would it not been more appropriate for him to wear the jogging bottoms and you to wear his trousers?
I felt that to suggest that would be a bit personal, and I didn't particularly... I thought, why not a pair of trousers that neither of us have worn that day?
Yeah, but it's an odd look, isn't it? Because I can imagine you turning up for a book signing, you've got your little checkered shirt on, your dicky bow, your little fez, and then you've got your tracksuit bottoms, and it's all tucked in to the... Hello, want me to sign that?
Obviously, with a book signing, you're sitting at a table, your legs aren't that visible.
Where in the shop did you go to change? Which section?
Please don't say the children's section.
In the back room, in the stock room area.
Right, and then at the end of the... After you'd signed your 3 books, she said, thanks for coming, Mum, thanks for coming, Dad. And then... And did you then... He liked that one, and he's not allowed to laugh. Did you then give him his trousers back, or did he say, oh, just take them, you can have them?
I gave him his trousers back.
What month were you going to Foyles?
It was November.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that does check out.
Well done, David. It could have rained in November.
Fortunately, I didn't pick one of those months where it never rains in Britain.
OK, Lee's team. Is Zaid Joel's wedding wrecker, AJ's disappointing date, or David's legwear lender?
They're all implausible, aren't they?
Well, Joel's is implausible.
You don't think Joel?
The whole, I invited 2 random guys from my gym. These 2, I buy the dating thing big time. But I think that's a personal bias, yeah.
I think I buy it big time as well.
I mean, if I was on a date and some guy was looking at his vehicle and not me, he's out. And then if the vehicle was a penny farthing, I'd be like, God, what a lunatic I picked up on the internet.
They just seem different types. I mean, it just doesn't ring true.
You don't know my type.
I do. I've tried ringing you many times and you never pick up.
So, Alex, if you had to plump for one of these...
Which I do.
Who would it be?
It would be AJ. Because I don't think people do get splashed by transit vans and puddles in real life.
You think it's AJ? You think it's AJ? It's AJ.
OK, Zaid, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Zaid, and my dancing made Joel's mum cry.
Zaid is Joel's wedding wrecker. Thank you very much, Zaid. So please welcome this week's special guest, Martin. So, Zand, what is Martin to you?
This is Martin, and when I accidentally shaved off a chunk of my beard, he lent me some of his.
Maya, how do you know Martin?
OK, so this is Martin, and he once exercised my car because I thought it was haunted.
And finally, Lee, your relationship with Martin.
This is Martin. He freed me after I got my fingers stuck in a bowling ball.
So there we have it. David, where do you want to begin?
Zand, so he lent you a section of his beard?
Yes, so I had shaved off that side of my beard by mistake, and I needed...
How did you do that?
You put the teeth on the beard trimmer so that and you have to adjust it.
Yes.
And I didn't put the teeth on and shaved my cheek twice. Zup, zup, cleared the cheek. Then I needed replacement beard hair.
And where does this chap come in?
I was filming a television programme the next day, and the problem was that we'd already filmed some of it, and so I had to keep the beard, and I also have it in my contract that I always have to have a beard because I have an identical twin brother, and without the beard I look like him, and then I can't.
I don't think that would be a problem because you still had some of the beard. I think you'd still be distinguishable from your... Unless he had madly grown a partial beard.
OK, so how do you come into contact with someone? Is this a service that someone provides whereby if you misshave, he'll help you out?
No.
Do you regret your Brazilian?
Well, with the help of this man's hairy face...
So, Martin is a sound person or an acoustic engineer on the TV show that I was working on, and he kindly trimmed off a bit of his beard and allowed me to glue it to my face.
So how many days did you have to film? Because presumably you'd have to remove this hair at the end of the day. You can't go to bed with that, can you?
So, at the end of the day, Martin gave me an envelope of his beard trimmings.
Oh,
he trimmed
get
it off.
away.
I carried I carried the... I had to film for the rest of the weekend, in fact, into the next week. And so for about 5 or 6 days, I was gluing... I had some eyelash glue and I was gluing...
He gave you an envelope of his hair.
So he gave you a couple of clumps on that first day, and at the end of the day, he said, well, there you go, that'll see you through until the middle of next week.
So, and he must have lost a fair bit of his, then.
It's a mighty beard.
It's a dense beard, I will say that.
His beard does look like a feeder beard, like it's designed just to feed other beards.
Yes. It's like...
wholesaler beard.
Right, who would you like to quiz next?
Maya, this car. What model of car was it?
Mercedes 500.
And what made you think it needed exorcising?
OK, well, I have quite a spiritual Swedish nan.
Yeah.
And I was telling her that it's always quite cold. There's 2 seats in the car. It's always quite cold. It feels like there's wind coming in, even when all the windows and there's no holes in it or anything like that. And sometimes when I go into my car park, which is underground, I have felt like someone touched me a couple of times, just on the shoulder or, like, there. And so I told her about it, and she was like, I know this guy Martin.
And it's probably him.
She said, you should have a little chat with Martin. He does this kind of thing. He goes and he'll get rid of the bad spirits and stuff like that. And if it is your new car, then it's best that you get it sorted out, you know?
I got to say, you did say... So your nan's Swedish?
Yeah.
Martin does look strikingly Scandinavian.
He does, actually, doesn't he? You can imagine him on a hardwood floor.
What are you doing on this hardwood floor, Rob?
Being Swedish. Yeah, maybe it's a hardwood floor for a while, with high-quality hi-fi, nice speakers. So, your nan said that he does this sort of thing. What does she mean by that?
Well, he's a medium. That's what these sort of people do.
Well, a medium is not the same as an exorcist.
Well, I was going to say, medium isn't the same as an extra large.
No, I don't know.
To be clear, he's not a priest.
No, he doesn't...
That's your classic person who can do exorcism, is a priest.
I don't think they do cars, though. I mean, I know things have gone bad for the church, but...
Exorcism is quite a loose term here, because I know there are a lot of people that they clear energy.
Yeah, like they read your cards and they say, oh, there's someone in the room and that kind of stuff.
So he's more of a general...
charlatan.
He's a ghost...
If it's true, I'm going to get killed, but it's not true because he got my finger stuck in a bowling ball and helped me out.
If it was true. So, Maya, talk us through what he did for you.
So I'm going to be honest, I wasn't in the car. It's a 2-seater. He got in the car. I stayed a little bit away.
So there wasn't room for you and him and the ghost?
Of course not. And then, basically, I watched from a distance. He was shouting for a little while. And then he did vibrate a little bit. And then that was about it.
So like this?
So you were a bit further away, so did you see him just...
I just saw a shaking bearded man.
What was
Could
he
you
saying?
see his hand when he was vibrating?
Yes, that's important.
I can't remember. His hands were on show.
All right. His hands were on show, as far as we know. And how did he finish? No, Roman, Kent! What would your listeners think?
No, how did it end? He came out of the car, and then he said, well, I've done what I can, I've had a word.
Done what I can.
She does so well, and then she gets to the end, and she's like, then he just got out and said, see you later, bye, there you go. It's almost the last bit, and you just drop the ball.
I'm having a laugh, I'm playing along. But he did. He said he basically had finished what he needed to do. He'd come to the end of the exorcism.
So did he give you any feedback about what he'd cleared?
Well, he did. He looked at me and he said, like that. No, he acknowledged the fact that there was, in fact, something in there.
So he didn't say you've wasted your money hiring me. That needed doing.
He confirmed.
That was a big one in there.
OK, so what exactly did Martin say that he found?
Well, he wasn't that clear, I'll be honest. He just said it was a spirit. I think there's levels to this ghost talking stuff. Like
spirit levels.
How far in?
OK. Now, what about Lee? Remind us, Lee, of your claim.
This is Martin, and he once helped me when I got my fingers stuck in a bowling ball.
Oh. So when was this?
This was about a year ago.
And who are you bowling with? Family trip?
It was my son's birthday.
Oh.
What was Martin's job at the bowling alley?
He didn't have a job at the bowling alley. He was in the lane next to me.
Yeah. Which finger got stuck?
It was those two fingers got stuck.
They both got stuck.
I know.
Wow. And above the knuckle, did you...
Not tonight, darling.
Did you plunge them in?
So I went into the ball.
Like that.
I'm thinking, hello. And then I'm thinking, it's the something... I've picked up the wrong ball. Picked up a 12 kilogram, not a 14. I've only gone and put my fingers in all that's too small. My fingers are stuck. Oh, well. Give me something to talk about on the show.
So how did he get him out? How did he get him out?
He said, are you all right, mate? And I said, I've actually got my fingers stuck in the ball. And he said, well, can I help you? I said, I don't know. Are you qualified? And he said, no, I've never done anything like this in my life. I said, well, neither have I. That's two of us.
This is sounding quite romantic now.
Yeah, so I touched his face gently, but knocked him out.
Yeah. Okay. Then later he came round.
Yes. Yes. I said, how did you get my address?
Yeah.
He said, can I help you? I said, you tell me. So he said, all right, let's see if we can pull it off. So he held on. The children held my arm as he pulled. Right. And it didn't work. So he said, why don't I go to the kitchen and get something to use as a sort of lubricant?
OK.
And he came back with quite a large tub of butter.
When he's gently lubing your fingers up...
Yeah.
And there's a man you've never met before and your wife's off and it's just you and him... What were you talking about?
Oh, you know, we were chewing the fat. And he said, we'll need that.
Is that what did it?
Eventually, the lubrication and the excessive pulling and a little bit more pulling from the opposite direction from my wife and the kids at the party resulted in and out it came.
All right, so we need an answer. So David's team, is Martin Zahn's bearded buddy, Maya's car cleanser, or Lee's finger freer?
I think I'm sceptical about Lee's story, but the problem is that the other two stories are, one is that he exorcised a car, and the other is that he lent some beard hair.
It's definitely Zander.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's fine. We're fine.
So you're willing to accept that this man took clippings from his own beard, put them into an envelope, gave them to Zand, and he then stuck them onto his face.
Rob, if you were to take trimmings of your beard, what exactly... And you had to give them to someone, what exactly are you meant to be putting them in anyway?
Tupperware.
What did you say he worked in? He worked in the audio department?
He could work in the audio department, but also he could be a Scandinavian exorcist, I suppose. I haven't seen many Scandinavian
exorcists. Could work in a bowling alley.
No.
He didn't work in a bowling alley, did he? He just had to be there.
No, hang on, he didn't work. That's why I was getting confused, because he was temping.
Maya, do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah,
I believe in ghosts.
Do you? Why do you believe in ghosts?
Why not?
Well, because they patently don't exist.
You're not going to logic bomb me.
OK, if there's so many ghosts, well, if ghosts exist, why are they always in isolated places rather than absolutely cramming central London?
I don't think
people have been living and dying in misery in central London for 2,000 years in that square mile. You shouldn't be able to move for ghouls. And yet you don't see them there in the modern office blocks, or with the plague, or being eaten by a lion in Roman times, or having their head chopped off for no reason. Oh, no, it's in one pub where a total of 2,000 people have lived ever. That's where the ghosts hang out. It doesn't make any sense.
So what are you going to say, David?
OK.
What are you going to say?
It's 100% Zander.
Right, well, are we happy to go with that?
I think so.
Yeah, we're going to go with that.
You're saying it's Zand. OK. Yeah. Martin, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Martin, and I lent Zander my beard.
Yes, Martin is Zand's bearded buddy. Thank you very much, Martin. So please welcome this week's special guest, Johnny. So, Johnny, what is Johnny to you?
This is Johnny, and we once pretended to be members of Take That to get backstage at a gig.
Right. Johnny's boy band buddy. Anna, how do you know Johnny?
This is Johnny, and it's my fault that he had to climb a mountain twice in one day.
Right, Anna's unhappy hiker. And finally, Lee, your relationship with Johnny.
This is Johnny. At school, we both fell victim to Brian Pimento's infamous biscuit con.
So there we have it. David, where would you like to begin?
Johnny, what did you do with him? You snuck backstage?
Well, we didn't sneak.
Yeah.
What we did is we convinced an ignorant promoter in the early days of Take That that we would Take That. We didn't only snuck backstage, we wanted to go on as Take That.
And you said that you were actually in the band?
We said that we were the band. We were at a local county show and we decided it would be a good idea. Take That had just released It Only Takes a Minute Girl. So
which is an unusual brag.
And they weren't that well known, so they booked them cheap and we decided to just chance our arm and pretend that we were them.
And which particular member, because I'm struggling here to think who it would be.
This was a stroke of genius. Johnny told them that, like, every boy band needs one that's, like, everyone thinks they stand a chance with, and that was me. You always need one in the band that you think, yeah, I could.
Yeah. and that, Rob, is why we have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So where was this?
At a big show.
Well, a big show, that's not very specific. You said it was at a county show.
Yeah, right.
I'm imagining there's a lot of livestock being sold and displayed. But
it wasn't that far.
Right.
Because before we were due to go on stage, they just judged the best rabbit.
I can totally imagine a kind of event where early in the evening they judge the best rabbit and then Take That comes on. But just in case not everyone can picture it, can we have some details?
It was St Helens.
What county is St Helens in?
Merseyside, and yet with the Cheshire postcode. Sort that out.
When was this, Johnny?
It was a big show. It was a big show.
Johnny, what happened? Did you get up onto stage?
No, what we did is we turned up and announced ourselves as Take That.
Yes, but there's only two of you.
He was better looking at the time. You know, marriage and running a pub hadn't ravaged him. And we turned up and just announced that we were Take That.
And how far did you get with it?
We got backstage. They were running late, so we were going to go on as Take That.
Right.
And there was only one guy who, outside of myself, who'd seen the video.
Yeah.
And just as they were about to announce us on, he ran up and told us to get out.
All right. Who would you like to question next?
OK. First question, Anna, is what Johnny's saying true? The fact that you're considering it is bad news for your story. Can you remind us of your story? Something about a mountain twice.
Yes, it's my fault. He had to climb a mountain twice in one day.
Which was the mountain?
It's called Cat Bells.
Anyone heard of a mountain called Cat Bells?
It sounded like she was trying to say Catmandu and forgot the rest. Cat Bells.
Where's Cat Bells?
It's this country, my love. It's near Keswick in the Lake District.
in the Lake District.
What was Johnny? Was he, like, with you on a trip? Was he your guide? Or was he, like, an ambulance person?
Has it got to be one of the three?
I'm giving options.
OK, well, don't go through them all. We'll be here all day. Was he a fireman? Was he a postman? Was he a friend of your cousin or your cousin's friend? Was he your Uncle Pete or your Uncle Bob or your Auntie Pauline? Or just, you could use another system. Who was he?
Who was he?
Who was he?
Johnny's my friend.
Why was he and were you going up Cat Bells?
Because it was like an anniversary, friend group anniversary. Leave the children at home, get on the bits, but earn the things and do a bit of exercise.
Get on the bits and earn the things. She's making perfect sense. Get on the bits and earn the things.
What do you mean?
Have you had a bang on the head? Get on the bits and earn the things, didn't it? What?
So
what are you talking about?
Yes,
Yeah.
Lee's question. Please answer Lee's question.
We're marking 25 years of friendship.
Right.
To earn the night out.
This is the exercise that you're doing to justify getting drunk later.
Yeah.
And you go up Cat Bells.
Yep.
Tired, nice view. Go down Cat Bells. Why do you make him go up again?
Because I realised that I had lost my phone and presume my phone is at the top.
How long does it take to get up Cat Bells?
About 2.5 hours.
Good Lord.
So I'm having a little, episode, a weep and a cry, and Johnny volunteers to go back up and get it.
Right.
And is that because Johnny fancies himself as Wolverine?
I've not seen those films. Is he a great phone fetcher?
Neither have I, but he's very Hugh Jackman, isn't he?
Have you not seen that film, David? Wolverine phone fetcher?
I think it's more that he's a very kind person, and I know a few things about Johnny, so...
So a mixture of goodwill and blackmail.
Yeah, I'm hasten to add, when Johnny was in my life, in my story, he was a very generous person. He always went out of his way to help.
In my story, he's an intolerable pillock.
So he goes back up to get the phone, then what happens?
And then I realised the phone is on my person. Johnny came back down and said, I'm so sorry I couldn't find it. And then I just said, oh dear, and kept hidden that I actually had it.
And when did you come clean?
Last New Year.
How did Johnny react when you told him?
He was pretty good-natured. He likes exercise.
All right, now what about Lee's stories?
So,
just remind us, Lee, what it is you're trying to convince us of.
This is Johnny, and when we were at school, we both fell victim to Brian Pimento's biscuit con.
Who is Brian Pimento, and what was his biscuit con?
Good question.
Brian Pimento was a kid in our school who was a few years older than me and Johnny.
So how old were you at this point?
11 or 12.
And what was his biscuit con?
Well, he approached us in the playground and said, hello, boys, I've hidden a biscuit. Do you want to find it? He said that his dad worked for McVitie's as a lorry driver.
Yes.
And that he could get us a whole tin of assorted biscuits each. Ooh. Those big Christmassy ones with 3 layers.
And what did you have to do to get these?
Well, he said, so if your parents smoke and you can take some cigarettes from them and give them to me, I'll exchange it for 2 big tins of triple-stacked Christmas assorted biscuits.
How many cigarettes did he require for those biscuits?
5 each.
That's a good deal.
For who?
For, I would say for you.
Yeah.
David, let's talk.
You stole 5 and Johnny stole 5 from his parents?
Didn't ask where he got his from.
OK.
You never ask questions with these sort of things. I said to him, where'd you get your cigarettes from? And he went...
I thought you said you never ask questions with these sorts of things.
No, that's what I learned when I said, where'd you get your cigarettes from?
So this was the next day, you turn... Is it?
No, that evening.
That evening?
Meet us in the woods.
Nice and specific.
Meet us in the woods tonight and, and bring your keyboard.
What happened?
What happened?
He came and we thought he'd be on his own, like he was when he offered us the deal. From the bushes, 3 lads appeared either side of him. He took the cigarettes, he said thank you, and then they all started laughing their heads off at us.
Oh,
shame.
And said,
Lee.
Ain't no biscuits, son.
All right, well, we need an answer. Is Johnny's boy band buddy, Anna's unhappy hiker, or Lee's scammed schoolmate?
What do you think?
I think it's Anna's hiker. I think that's the one that has the biggest ring of truth for me.
Lee's story was, fine. But the thing is, you and Johnny are not the same age.
Don't listen to her, Johnny. She's being very rude to you.
I see a lot of myself in Anna. And I would have gone up a mountain for bits. So I believe that side of it, and I think...
So you both think it's Anna.
What are you thinking, David?
We're going to go with Anna.
OK.
Yeah.
Right. So, Johnny, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Johnny,
And Johnny and I pretended to be members of Take That.
Yes, Johnny is Johnny's boy band buddy. Thank you very much, Johnny. So please welcome this week's special guest, David. So, Joe Lycett, what is David to you?
This is my neighbour, David, and last year, to save money, we time-shared a Christmas tree.
Ruth, how do you know David?
This is David, and he walked into a charity shop just as I was donating the gift he'd given me a few days earlier.
Right, Ruth's charitable chum. And finally, David, what is your relationship with David?
This is David, and when my daughter lost her beloved toy rabbit, we held up a train so I could board it and grab it.
So there we have it. Lee's team, where would you like to begin?
Joe, next-door neighbour?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, why aren't you just buying your own Christmas tree?
Well, David and I decided to save a bit of money. We knew David was going away on Christmas Eve, so he wasn't going to use the Christmas tree after that point. I was working pretty much up until Christmas, so we thought it was a good idea that we
So he got it from the 1st of December?
He got it on the 12th to the 24th. Then I had it from the 24th to the 1st. I got rid of it on the 1st.
And did you take it decorated?
Yeah.
Just in one like that and just plonk it in your house?
So that's why we won't do it again, because we worked out that the savings that we made from sharing the cost of the tree, which was about 60 quid, we saved that, but the amount of baubles that we lost in the transit.
And this was all about saving £30?
Yes.
But, you know, you're doing all right.
David's not.
What was your Christmas setup after the 24th? Did you have people staying with you?
They didn't stay, but they came for Christmas dinner.
For the day?
Oh, you remember they came to watch EastEnders?
Yeah.
You had a big row with them, don't you remember?
We had a big row, yeah.
Right, who would you like to question next?
Ruth. Yes. Can you remind us of your...
David's my cousin, and he walked into a charity shop just as I was donating the gift he'd given me a few days earlier.
What was the gift?
What was the gift, first of all?
Right, it's one of those, you know, them really ugly porcelain pig things that open.
Huh?
You know them on...
Cookie jar?
Yeah, but smaller than a cookie jar. Not big enough for a cookie jar, so you couldn't even use it for that.
So, sorry, you've gone into the charity shop to get rid of this pig thing?
That's the only words that can
Your cousin's
describe it.
walked in?
Yeah.
And gone, taking a pig for a walk? What are you doing with a pig?
I didn't expect him to be there.
Did you carry on with the process of, like, let's get rid...
Yeah, talk us through exactly what happened after he walks in.
Right, David came in because he saw me. There was absolutely no other reason for him to go in the charity shop. You could tell he was really upset, but without wanting
But
to...
did he mention... What did he say?
He went, oh, what are you doing? Like, he just pointed at this pig that I'm holding.
Yeah.
And I panicked, so I said, look, I didn't want to tell you at the time, but I've already got one.
Ah. So when did he actually find out the truth, then?
So I had to call David and tell him I was coming on Would I Lie to You? And I can't stand the thought of hurting anyone's feelings.
So you thought you'd bring him on national television and humiliate him?
No. We've since spoke, and he's lovely.
Right. Now, Lee, what about David? David, remind us of your claim and your statement.
This is David, and he helped me board a train to rescue a rabbit.
First of all, where were you going from?
I was going from London to Cardiff.
With your wife and child?
Exactly.
Was you going there for a reason?
What do you mean by that? You're going to have a reason to go to Cardiff? Oh, you come down here with your Cockney patter. People go to Cardiff just because they want to visit it.
Sorry, mate.
Did you like it there, David?
It was very nice.
Did you
Obviously,
like it?
I'd put Carlisle into the train app, so...
Talk us through what happened.
Well, what happened? We got on the train, and this rabbit called Pink Rabbit. It's a pink rabbit.
What's it called?
She calls it Pink Rabbit.
That's it. She's got your sort of creativity.
Thank you. And it's her second favourite cuddly toy.
Who's the favourite?
The favourite is another rabbit. He's called Wiggles.
Wiggles?
Oh, OK.
Aww.
But Wiggles never leaves the house.
Oh, has he got an asbo?
It's better we always know where Wiggles is.
OK.
But Pink Rabbit is the favourite of the toys she will take out of the house.
How had you acquired the rabbit? Where did the rabbit come from?
It was probably a Christmas present at some point. But the thing is, it was around for a couple of years. Among the various, she's got lots of toy rabbits and that sort of thing. And then suddenly, and I'm not quite sure why, Pink Rabbit came to favour. It was like Stalin emerging as the front runner of the
Are you still doing the bedtime stories?
He wasn't the obvious successor to Lenin, but then a few years later, suddenly he's in charge. So Pink Rabbit has had a meteoric rise.
Right. Yeah. You get off the train at Cardiff.
Exactly.
And when do you realise the rabbit's gone?
When we've got to the hotel and my wife realises, and a look of...
she's married to you and has a breakdown.
Thank you. As always, you've made it so Christmassy. But then she sort of takes me aside and says, I don't think we've got Pink Rabbit.
At no point has your daughter made any reference to this rabbit, even though it's her favourite rabbit.
I know. The thing is, when we got on the train, my daughter said, can we get Pink Rabbit out of the bag? I want to have Pink Rabbit with me on the train. And it was my strong view that that was a bad idea. That we should keep Pink Rabbit in the bag where we know where Pink Rabbit is and only get Pink Rabbit out when we get to Cardiff. But no, I was overruled. It was apparently fine and she would keep an eye on Pink Rabbit and not forget about Pink Rabbit.
OK.
So, your wife said to you, Pink Rabbit's gone.
Yeah.
Do you phone the train station? Because Pink Rabbit's on the way back to London.
No.
No?
No. Pink Rabbit is on the way to Swansea.
Yeah.
Where it is going to turn round and then head back to London via, and here's the loophole...
The Lake District.
No. Via Cardiff. The train is coming back via Cardiff.
So you know now where the train is headed. So what do you decide to do?
We go to Cardiff station... in order to get on it and look for Pink Rabbit.
But you said a cuddly toy.
Oh, yes.
How many children do you have?
One.
Well, of course, classic only child scenario. I've got 5. I would have said the rabbit's dead. Get on with your life. So what happened?
Well, we went to the station.
Yeah.
David was in the sort of glass room / booth next to the barriers.
It's nice that he's brought it with him.
We went up to him and said, look, we haven't got tickets for the train, but we don't want to get on the train. We want to go and retrieve a toy rabbit. And he looked quite stern and severe and then nodded and went, yeah, that's fine. And it was a wonderful moment of possibility.
Right. So then what happened?
The train comes into the station. My wife goes to the front of the train to talk to the driver.
She's such a flirt.
And we've worked out where our carriage would be coming in.
Yes.
I get on the right carriage to look for Pink Rabbit and, as it turned out, thankfully find Pink Rabbit and then get off the train.
The bit we haven't heard yet is that if you have specifically said, I don't think the rabbit should leave the bag, and then you get to the hotel and she says, oh, we haven't got the rabbit. How did that conversation go?
Well, what can I say? I'm a hell of a guy.
But what did you actually say?
I did not say, I told you so.
You didn't say I told you so?
I did not say I told you so.
You might not have said it with your mouth. Did you say it with your eyes?
Oh, well, I can't
Did you go...
affect that, can I? Can't affect what they're doing. They're always admonishing everyone. But no, I didn't say that because I knew my wife would already have been thinking it. It was not necessary for me to say those words because they were already in her brain.
So be honest.
And at some point she is going to say, you told me so, for me, as indeed she subsequently did. And that is when a relationship is working.
We need an answer. So, Lee's team, is David Joe's frugal friend, Ruth's charitable chum, or David's rabbit rescuer?
This is a tough one. I mean, Ruth is... It's not likely, is it?
No, I don't think that's likely.
I'm genuinely torn between David and Joe. I don't know.
I've been in the same situation and lost a teddy bear at the airport, and I was gutted, cried for ages. I'm going to go with David, because I've been there.
I have also been there, so I do feel that this could be true.
I'm aware of, like, how emotionally damaging these situations can be, and for that reason, we didn't buy our children any toys. So it's hard to know.
Fair enough.
Really.
Yeah.
Joe, what did you think? What's it going to be?
Go with David.
I'll go with David.
We'll go with David.
I'm going to say that David held up the train. OK. David, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm David, and David and I rescued his daughter's rabbit.
Yes, David is David's rabbit rescuer. Thank you very much, David.